Right, Afenifere, a pan-Yoruba socio-political and cultural organization alongside the organized private sector represented by bodies such as the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, LCCI, and the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and Industry, ACCI, have voiced serious concerns regarding the recent electricity tariff hike for Band A customers by the Nigerian Electricity Regulatory Commission, NERC. Now, a concerned Nigerian, Senator Ali Ndume, the Senate Chief Whip representing Borno South and the National Assembly, have also condemned the timing of the electricity tariff hike, denouncing it as inappropriate. Well, meanwhile, LCCI expressed its discontent in a statement that they have titled "The Rising Cost of Doing Business in Nigeria," citing worries about the increasing electricity tariff and also the Central Bank of Nigeria's decision to raise the monetary policy rates, that's the MPR. Now, according to another concerned Nigerian in this matter, that's talking about the Director General of LCCI, Dr. Chinyere Almona, these decisions, coupled with challenges in importing and clearing goods at the country's ports, will significantly impact the private sector and worsen Nigeria's economic environment. In addition, the Nigeria Labour Congress has cautioned the federal government to anticipate the consequences of the tariff hike, condemning it as unjust and unpopular. Now, they stress that if the government continues to heed the advice of international financial institutions like the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, IMF, it must be prepared to face the backlash from Nigerians. Well, we still have with us in the studio Mr. Akin Fatunke, who is a chartered accountant, economist, and communications expert. We're also being joined virtually now by Mr. Bolahon Olojede, who is an economist and a financial analyst. Well, having two economists in the studio, we'll get a good perspective on this. Well, welcome on board, Mr. Olojede. Now, let me start with you now. Yes, I can see you on the screen. So let me start with you now. The tariff hike, is this the right time? I know government is saying that, those on Band A, government cannot give subsidies, cannot continue giving subsidies to those on Band A that are supposed to receive electricity for between 20 to 24 hours in a day. And government wants them to pay for what they consume and then subsidize for those within the Band B and E. But is this the right time? Looking at it from the point of view that we're still battling subsidy removal. Nigerians are still trying to recover from it. Rich or poor, Nigerians are still trying to recover from subsidy removal. And now another issue that will impact, albeit maybe negatively, on the growth of the economy.
Okay. Is it a good time? The reality is that there is never a good time to increase my cost by over 200%. I will always fight you for increasing. It doesn't matter what time that is. But for me, I think it goes beyond the issue of whether it is the right time or not. I am particularly concerned about the lack of transparency and the opaqueness of the system, and why we are consistently treading along this path. For example, as I speak, I'm fairly knowledgeable, but I still cannot determine exactly why PMS is 568 in NNPC station time. It is 610 in other places. So
625 in some. 625 in some. I got for 625 yesterday.
You bought for 625 yesterday. So the question is, how did we even determine those prices? I think, 225. Should it be 225 or it will have been
625 actually? Okay. No, talking about the 225.
Yeah.
Go ahead. So
should the energy cost be 225, or should it have been 200? Or should it even have been 270? I don't know. I don't know how this 25 is arrived at. Can we at least be a little bit transparent and engaged? The level of communication is very poor, extremely poor. You're not even talking to these people who are going to be bearing the brunt of the increased price. Now, it is important to translate all these things to numbers, communicate it, and let us know why am I paying 225. I've also read some presentation by NERC, which is the regulatory agency. And in that regulation, in that presentation, for example, you see something like, okay, if you are in band A and for 2 consecutive days, you don't get up to 20 hours, there will be an explanation. But if for 7 consecutive days, you don't get 20 hours, then you will be downgraded to maybe band B or something. The question is 7 consecutive days, which means that somebody can play on the 7 consecutive day, give me 20 on day 1, then after, for the next 2 days, I don't have it. Then on day 4, you give me another 20 hours. If you do that, it will not be 7 consecutive days. And you will keep me on band A paying 225 when in fact I have not been enjoying 20 hours of light. So there is need to engage and fine-tune all these things and provide more information to the people, to the payers who are going to be paying this thing. It is not enough to just slap prices on people. Let's say I'm willing to pay. I'm also willing, I also want to know, will I consistently get 20 hours of electricity? And if I don't get it, what is my record?
All right, talking about that now, Mr. Bolaho, NEC, that's the Regulatory Commission, told Abuja Electricity Distribution Commission to pay back a certain amount of money worth 200 million naira to consumers, because immediately they say that we're moving the tariff from 68 naira to 225 naira for those in band A. They went ahead to charge those in band B, C, D, and others equivalent amount. And now they give them till Thursday to be the day they'll pay this money. Do you see Disco's actually complying with what NEC said?
Well, they don't have an option. That is the regulator. It's like saying the CBN has said something. Will banks comply? You don't have an option because NEC has the necessary power to compel obedience or to compel enforcement of those sanctions. And I think it must enforce it. Otherwise, actions such as that will continue in that space in which operator abuse the consumers. No good environment should allow that to happen. And if NEC will look the other way and allow the operators to go away with these, then it will be quite unfortunate and it will continue to happen.
All right, let me come to Mr. Aki now. Quickly, let me throw this one at you. Now we're talking about electricity. We're talking about bans. All right. Government has also said that look, subsequently, the ban thing will be removed, and everybody will replace on one single ban. Now, talking about this issue, should we be charging Nigerians this amount of money, seeing that we produce to sell to other countries to generate funds? Meanwhile, Nigerians are not getting enough. Should we be talking about not having 24 hours, having 20, 16, 12 hours of electricity? Is that a conversation that we should be having at this time?
Yes, I like to say that my brand of economics, I just listened to my friend and my brother talking about transparency, of course, and talking about truth, of course. What Bolaho has not added, which is the political economy of it, is that you say the truth, you lose elections. Because Nigerians and all of us have just embraced lies upon lies. Whoever can come out and tell you a lot of lies is the one that you are going to to believe, then it's going to be the man of the people.
So we like the lies.
You become populists, and so you go on the altar.
It's not about telling us lies now.
You
Nigerians
go,
want the
you
records.
go on the altar.
We want the records
you
broken
begin
down.
to say things.
That's what Nigerians are asking for.
No.
Not just tell us lies.
I just
break
told
it
you.
down.
I just told you that my brand of economics, and I have a right to stand by what I am saying.
No, but then
It's the same thing that we have in subsidy is gone, subsidy is not good. You should not have said it here and there. The truth of the matter is that where we are at, down the line in this our electricity subsidy thing has been on for years, and we didn't have the political will to do the right things. But like Bola said, which I think I agree 100%, when you now want to now then come and do certain things, of course, you've got to say exactly the truth. He made a point, and please don't let us sweep that point. He says he doesn't know whether it should be 225, whether it should be 200. In the continent of Africa, people like us who are not producing, people who have not invested in infrastructures, we are still talking about the green system that should have been done with, giving jobs to the boys. Those are some of the lies. When all those was going on, they were winning elections. And you and I were kept on pulling their, yeah, that's our man, that's not our man. Nigeria, despite it all, we are about the 33rd in the continent of Africa. When you want to compare and contrast. But I agree, we shouldn't be looking at it from that angle. I am a humanist. And when I mention my forces, character, capacity, I also talk about compassion. About looking at the quantum of the pains that the Holy Poloi is facing. So I would rather, like a Robin Hood, steal from you, Moses, the rich, and find a way to spread it to the poor. But it's not transparent like Bola has said. I'll first of all take care of me, take care of mine, and bind the rest to the guillotine. Now, you make this point, and that is where I think I just want to hold on. That do I feel that we should be on separate bands? You try these things because you don't even have a clue. Nigeria is in a confused state. We may be looking at electricity, we may be looking at subsidy, we may be looking at foreign exchange. Nigeria has been run to the ground. So, I said it to you, Feda. Opportunity cost. You can't eat your cake and have it. In oil and gas, when people would now go out with the Jota and all that, no, we should not put subsidy and all that. They introduce scarcity. All of us were actually begging at the end of the day that please, we are ready to pay. The spoiling. Same way, in this electricity down the road that we have gone, if you say we are not going to do the required investment, the discos, okay, the GENCOs, I dare say, the GENCOs got into what we need to do, go ahead, and then we did what we needed to do. We left the transmission. Why did we leave the transmission? Then the GENCOs would then say, hey, we are doing 30,000 megawatts in a country of over 200 million. Then the GENCO said, let's try for something. And then the grid continues to collapse. We are lying to ourselves. And the earlier we all get to that angle of saying, yes, Nigerians, look, we've gotten it so bad. The same is in the agricultural field. We've gotten it so bad. Let's begin to do things by example. We had close to about 4 years of the Buhari administration that he kept on kicking the count down the road.
All right.
It will get to a point where, what then should we do? Should we continue to borrow for consumption? We can't.
In other
Now,
words, you just said, in the words of the Minister of Power, Bayo Adelabu, that Nigerians are not paying enough.
Did I say that?
I'm just trying to paraphrase, because when you say that if we at this point are likely going to pay 220 or even 200 from a 66 naira per unit,
Okay, like Bola said,
that carefully is towing his line.
Bola made a statement, and that statement, you can't fault it. How did you get to 225? Are you sure you are paying the appropriate thing at 225? I don't know. Maybe it should be lower. I don't know. Maybe it should be much more. So the question of, say, whether Nigerians should pay more or less, first of all, make it very transparent. Let's begin to see. We need to begin to tell ourselves the truth. And politicians should not be looking at, and the opposition, it's increased. And so he cannot win elections. He's done us bad and all that. We must get to a point where we all sit and look at the commonwealth of Nigeria and its sustainability.
Okay.
I am not saying Nigerians should pay more. Maybe Nigerians should pay less. Maybe if you bring in all the efficiencies, and then, like I said, there are quite a number of government agencies that have been owing on all these things. Exactly. Have you done what you need to do? Now, we are talking about metering. We've been on this metering thing for ages. Should it be metered? They say we should go and buy. It's not transparent enough.
Talking about transparency.
And like him, if at the end of the day, you are going to bring in an efficiency and a sustainability that will make me pay 300, I will strive and make sure, because I'm already paying more than that to look for my energy sustainability in Nigeria.
Talking about the transparency, now to you, Mr. Bolaon. The Minister of Power, Adelabu, was of the opinion that the increase in the tariff hike is a first step for the government to pull out the electricity subsidy, saying that by the end of this 2024, the government will be saving 1.4 trillion naira. Now, what do you make of that statement by the Minister of Power? Increasing the tariff for us to save 1.4 trillion naira, that's 2024. Transparency.
Okay. Some of the numbers that are available right now, for example, says the cost of generating 1 kilowatt of electricity, 1 kilowatt of kilowatt power, was 63 naira in January. By March, it was 103. So there has been a huge cost to that generation. Is it true? I don't know. They've not always been transparent about this. But let's, for discussion's sake, assume that that is true. If you are generating 1 kilowatt at 103, but all your tariffs are at 60 naira, 50 naira, you are going on a downhill. The entire system will just collapse, and the subsidy will even continue to increase. That is a reality right there. However, the primary thing that should be on the mind of government is not how much will be saved. The primary thing is not that, I will now save 1 point something trillion. What will you do with 1 point something trillion? If we are sure that the 1 point something trillion will be plowed back into that same sector, that would be fantastic. But historically, has it been so? I don't think I can say with confidence that it has been so. So for me, we must have electricity. Whatever it should take to have it. I can tell you for free, for example, that there has been very poor investment in that place. And it will continue to be that way for decades. If the mathematics does not add up, if I'm an investor and I'm bringing my money, and you are telling me that you will generate that product at 103, but you will sell it at 55 naira, sorry, I will leave it only for your government to continue.
All right, then, let me stay with you on this one. Now, a quick one. Should government subsidize consumption? Because that's what government is doing now. Yeah. Should government continue to subsidize consumption, or just find a way to subsidize production, and then the people will get to pay the rest? So it's cut across.
There are some consumption that you will definitely have to subsidize. When everywhere in the world that I know, I've seen people talking about, oh, Canada is cheap. I said, when you even go to the Canada, you find out that while some people are paying 19 cents, some are paying 41 cents per kilowatt. So it is not the same. You have to look at the different stratum of the society, and some people at the lower rung of the ladder will be subsidized. That is not a bad thing. They are not major consumers anyway. And some of this subsidy will either come from government or will come from the upper part of the ladder where people have better capacity. So the people with better capacity pay more, and from what they pay, you're able to subsidize the people at the lower rung. The alternative is that government can step into that place and subsidize the lower rung of the ladder. But for people who have capacity, let them pay. But let them pay an amount that is transparent, that we can say this is indeed fair and transparent.
All right. And now, Mr. Akin, we are, I don't know why you're smiling, but I have to ask you this particular question. Now, the thing is,
I have to smile. Otherwise, I should be crying.
But let's look at it this way. The increase in electricity tariff hike come just less than 1 week after the government talked about the increase in the gas supply to the electricity generators, 11% increase. Then you bring it back again to this point whereby the MPR rate, that's the monetary policy rate, actually is increasing. Also, that SMEs cannot even afford, to borrow money because of the rate. Then you bring it again to the point whereby the president now is out there saying that he's galvanizing, he's pulling in investors into Nigeria, saying that we actually will be Nigeria will have spirit and can do. Let's put it that way, because that was what he said during the weekend. Do you actually think that the way the way electricity hike is happening in Nigeria, MPR rate also high in Nigeria, and fuel also, the subsidy of fuel and all that is gone, do you think foreign investors can actually come to Nigeria the way our economy is now?
You must also add the fact that insecurity is very, very high in Nigeria.
Exactly, for looking at that too.
You have to provide your water, and you have to provide you don't even have food.
According to additional, we provide everything.
About 32-33% food inflation.
Yeah.
You can continue ad infinitum. Bottom line, we are not viable.
Okay.
Pure and simple. We are not investing. We have borrowed. We found ourselves in a quagmire. I always say, when you find yourself in a quagmire, two things can happen. Decide to sink, or decide to have hope and begin to do things and then see light at the end of the tunnel. Since May 2023, I think it was, yeah, when we had a change in government, even though the same party, and it doesn't matter whichever party comes in, Nigeria was in a bad place. The only thing that I keep on saying that I have not seen leadership by example. It didn't, whether the leader led by example or not led by example, is that we were in a bad place. So for you to ask me that the electricity tariff, is it right? It doesn't look right. And if it's not right, what should we do? Let's continue to borrow, so that you yourself and your children will continue to be in peonage.
97.3 trillion naira is what we are owing according to the debt management office.
Yes.
Borrow more again to add to that?
So if you don't borrow, so what will now happen? You just told me now that should we increase? And look, I am trying to make you to really understand that we are in a bad place. But what makes it worse is that we have drivers who are not showing the kind of example. And those drivers, it's not the president alone. It's the National Assembly. It's also you and I, in where we live and we consider. And the fact that the earlier we begin to plan the situation of our population that is going beyond the roof, it's also going to be a hard discussion we have to take. What this government or any government would therefore do will now then take a decision. Should I continue to borrow for consumption? He's talking about consumption. And Bola has also said, there is no, which is true, there is no government that does not, somehow. But I am a prophet that believes that do the production well. All the things that we have done so far is being done on wrong stand.
All right.
We need to get back to that and do it right. Stop where we are, recalibrate the whole thing. It's going to be more pain.
Do we consider this your conclusion?
It's going to be more pain.
Because we're pressed for time.
But if we all take the pains collectively now, not that Moses, you'll be taking pain, I will just come here and be talking. We all collectively take this pain and collectively begin to cut our coats according to cloth. And Fina will not say she's going to have 6 children when she should, and David will say that he's going to have 25.
Okay.
And we are all still going to be in that same pot. Then we haven't started.
All right.
We need reality, and we need a situation where we must restructure everything that belongs to us, including electricity.
All right, thank you very much, Mr.
For now, I'm only going to beg government, the minister, is very, very hard on us. Please have some mercy.
All right.
Cut down on your own intakes.
All right, then. So let me come to Gbolahan Olojede. Let's get your concluding thoughts in. Now, as you make to respond, in my research, I realized that Egypt is, self-sufficient. Egypt has electricity in excess of 25% as of 2023. They put mechanism in place. I mean, having in excess of about 25%, that's a lot. But you also do know that the Minister of Power, Adelabu, did say that the culture that Nigeria's culture in the usage and maintenance of things is appalling. And he cited a situation whereby Nigerians could turn on the air conditioning and go to work in hope that when they come back, the room will be cool enough. Should that be a problem? Or if you're doing that, you're paying. After all, it's your money. Should that be a reason why government should, decide to put people in bans or take certain decisions? Now, you could wrap this with your concluding thoughts as well. 2 minutes, please.
Basis, but definitely a correct pricing will correct that. Nobody will teach you. I've been to some of my friends' places in the UK where you literally sit in the dark. They put off the light. You sit down there, you won't even know they're there. You have to think about the fact that the bill will come and you must pay it. It is true. As a matter of fact, I've come into my own office building sometimes last week, and I found out that the reception AC was left on because apparently, I believe the security people decided to sleep in that. Those are the kind of wastage that we're talking about. There is a lot of wastage because, to be frank, the electricity is not appropriately priced. If it is appropriately priced, people will adjust. But at the heart of that is, will I get the electricity? If you give me 20 hours consistently, I will be the one that will decide which of these 3 freezers should I put on or should I leave at what time. Will I leave my lights on? Forget it. It will not happen. So all those things will naturally happen. But let's see the light first.
All right, then. Thank you very much. That's a good way to wrap it. We do appreciate you. We've been speaking with Gbolahan Olojede, who is an economist and a financial analyst as well. And we've had with us in the studio Mr. Akin Fatunke, a chartered accountant, economist, communication expert, a major player in the oil and gas sector. I didn't have that one earlier. And also a public affairs analyst. We do thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Gbolahan also plays in the logistics, in the history, in the economics, including the people who are people who should be looking at to give us a little bit more. He has a lot of knowledge. Gbolahan, I greet you.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for your. All right, thank you for your views and thoughts there. We'll take a break now. When we come back, we'll get into other aspects of the show: business, entertainment, and sports. Stay with us.
From the views on the street